The Cat stole the show for me. I love The Cat. A Quiet Place Part 1 and Part 2 are excellent movies. Does A Quiet Place Day 1 live up to that, or is it just as good? We'll see. My name is Aaron, and I like to do movie reviews, specifically horror movie reviews. I would say A Quiet Place Day 1 is a good movie. It's a solid prequel movie to Part 1 and Part 2. Lupita and Joseph Quinn are fantastic in this. I love their characters, and I love the cat. If you've seen the movie already, you know what I mean by the cat. Actually, the cat is the highlight for me, to be honest. Cast Lupita in more horror films. She needs to be in more horror movies because she is just great. I love the way she expresses her emotions. The best moments of this movie were the character interactions between the two, their emotional, sentimental character interactions. That's what made this movie strong. That's what made this movie good. I love the chemistry between the two. With A Quiet Place Part 1 and Part 2, it takes place in one setting and it kind of revolves around a family. With Day 1, it's a different setting, a bigger setting, and complete strangers. It kind of gives a different scope of what's happening. A Quiet Place Day 1 is giving the Purge Anarchy kind of feel. A different location, revolves around strangers, gives it a bigger scope. My biggest complaint about A Quiet Place Day 1 is that it didn't really give enough of a backstory to why things are happening. What are these creatures? Why are they there? Why are they here? I get that there are some movies and franchises that kind of like to give an air of mystery. It doesn't explain everything, gives it a vibe of creepiness and scariness, but you got to give us something, You got to give us something, because if you leave so much mystery up to mystery and darkness and just up to people's interpretation, then basically you can just do whatever you want without explaining anything, and it kind of gets sloppy. The first half of this movie is great. I think this movie, or these kinds of movies, like The Quiet Place Part 1, Part 2, and this movie, they do well in silence. This is what this movie excels in. That's the creepy factor of this whole scenario, this whole situation. It's the silence. Even someone eating popcorn in the movie theater can kind of give a sense of scariness. With that said, this movie is best watched in the theater. The later half of this movie, it kind of breaks its own rules that it sets, or it already set and established in Part 1 and Part 2. With the rules already established, and with what we already know in Part 1 and Part 2, Day 1 should be the foundation of it, but it kind of breaks its own rules in the first movie, in Day 1, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to give us something. You got to give us some sort of backstory and not leave it all up to mystery. It doesn't make sense sometimes. And with that said, this movie is still a good watch. I would say this is the more underwhelming release of the franchise, but that's not to say that this is a bad movie. I still say this is a pretty good watch at the theater. It's suspenseful. I love the chemistry between Lupita and Joseph Quinn. I just wish there was more. If I were to rate it out of 5, I would rate it 3.5, 4 out of 5. If I were to rate it out of 10, I would rate it 7, 7.5. It's a good watch. It's not a bad movie. I just wish there was more. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this movie out of the theater. What are your thoughts on it if you've seen it? Are you excited for it? Are you looking forward to more movies of the A Quiet Place universe? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye!